wait a minute. We got to do it right. If we're going to do it, we got to do it right. So we got to say, good evening, fight fans. That's right. It's your boy K, with your mama's #1 draft pick. And you are not looking at the wrong thing. It is me and Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, what's going on, my brother? I miss you, guy.
What's going on, man? Good to see you. Glad to have you back.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Big shouts out to my brother Bikins, who is doing the dad thing. He said he'll be in the studio shortly. And you know how we do, man. Headkicks and Haymakers. Everybody jump in the comment section. We're gonna do a little bit of MMA, but because I haven't been in here in about give or say 2 weeks, right? We're gonna do a little boxing first. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Once again, Riyadh season sets the tone for what we want to have as far as big fight events, and somehow, some way, you gotta think about Riyadh season. You gotta think about Turkey Al Sheikh. You gotta give them props, because somehow, some way, pretty much we know what way. A lot of money has been put out there in order for them to do their thing, and magically, if you didn't know, the money is on the line for one of the biggest, best looking cards of 2025, not even 24, but 2025. Let me get this together so I can show it to you guys. And the funny thing is, Bobby, you was on X/Twitter. I think you shared it with me, and I was like, oh yes, this is the one. And we're definitely going to take a peek at it. Here we go. I got it. Bang. Okay. We got Dimitri Bivol versus Better Beef 2 coming up February. Man, and somehow, some way, I really don't think people are understanding the demographic on this fight card, bro. Like, do you see what's going on here?
Yeah, like, I mean, you're saying best of like 24, 25. The head to toe, this might be like the best ever. Like, as far as top to bottom, where are you, gonna get these like quality level fights like back to back? Boxing normally will just like give you one of these, two if you're lucky, but I mean, this is just head to toe. Take my money, and it's supposedly extremely cheap as well. I think he's doing the pay-per-view at like $19.99 or something. So kind of going to need to look into that for sure.
Yeah, man. The reports are out that basically Turkey Al Sheikh is going less is more right now. Everybody's been trying to figure out a way to combat streaming, illegal streams, and Turkey Al Sheikh is saying, well, being that the card is already stacked, people want to see it again. The zone is going on right now. It looks like to be confirmed at $19.99 in euros and $25.99 in the US dollar. And if you ask me, $25 plus maybe like another 25 for like chicken and beer or something, that's not that bad. If I did not have the sources I had to watch something illegally, if I wanted to, which I don't, I would put that $25.99 on this right here in February. It is crazy because, I don't know if you know, and Bobby and Bikins and I, we got a chance to talk about Dimitri Bivol and Better Beef 1, right? And it was a crazy fight. It was Hagler Hearns-esque, and if you know anything about Hagler Hearns, that was a brawl for it all. And indeed, this one in some way, shape, or form can be held to comparison. But real quick, man, while we still waiting on the big guy to show up, I'm just going to highlight a couple of things right here. First off, we start at the bottom. We got Zhang Li Zhang, Big Bang Zhang. I don't know if you know, ladies and gentlemen, but when it comes to the heavyweight division itself, there are a couple of names that are starting to peek out from round corners, being that we don't have the normal names. Of course, you got Fury, you got Usyk up there. We're gonna see them in December. But once again, who else you got? There's no more Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua just got knocked out by Dubois. So we got to start looking towards other names. Big Bang Zhang is definitely one of them. So let's keep it out. And then we scroll up a little higher on the card. What? Who is that? Shakur Stevenson fighting Floyd Schofield? Yes, it is. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Somehow, some way, the money has brought Shakur Stevenson out of hiding. And when I say out of hiding, I don't mean as though he is not accepting challenges. I'm just saying it's known, or it has been said repeatedly, that Shakur Stevenson has taken lesser fights, especially as he was boxing with Top Rank recently. And then you go a little further up. One of the most recent heavyweight debacles, or matter of fact, upsets, was done by none other than Daniel Dubois, and he's going up against Joseph Parker. This is it right here for, let's say, what, a main event, co-main, and then maybe co-main. This is it right here. These two fights are happening on this card, February 22nd, 2025, and it's going down in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and it's headlined by none other than Bivol and Beterbiev. If you don't know, please look up the numbers, the CompuBox numbers, and see what type of fights you may have missed. Bobby, when you look at these, at least the top three, co-main, co-main, and the main event, of course, where is your mind going as far as, just the card itself being put together with these three at the top?
I mean, looking at it like that is just wild, because like all three of those at the top easily could headline an event. Like I would easily tune in just for that fight. And then you're going to get three of those back to back. And then not only that, but like Zhang is opening up on the card. I mean, it cannot get much better than that, especially for the price. I mean, you're talking $20. I mean, even if you stream it or whatever, the only downside to me is it'll be like kind of in the middle of the day. But, I've gotten pretty used to those midday cards. So I don't think that'll really affect me at all. And, I'm really intrigued by the co-main event. I was really wondering what they were going to do with him after he had that win. So I think head to toe, that card is just really well built. And, that would definitely be something worth every dollar, in my opinion. I think with what they're doing, trying to combat the streaming, like I would say, why not just like put it on streaming in general and try to, get that number up. I mean, you see what they did with the Jake Paul and Tyson and the Netflix. Like, why don't they get like a partner there? And because you would think something like this would just do insane numbers if it had that type of access to people. How many people are still going to look into, getting DAZN to get the pay-per-view but I think it'll get some pretty decent traction. These things always seem to come under the radar, like I completely forgot Fury Usyk is coming up like next week or whatever. So this is going to creep up sooner and later.
Bro, listen, you and I are somewhere in the same vein. I remember, paying attention, of course, to Fury Usyk and being excited about it, but this kind of tops that. And what I'm going to do now, while I got a minute, we're going to look up this in comparison. Let's look up the Fury Usyk fight card. Let's see who's on this one, because if we're gonna do compare and contrast, we gotta give them a fair shot. So let's stop that one, right? And then let's bring up the opposite.
It's even comparable, because you would think the Fury Usyk one is kind of, and they'll definitely still be like competitive, really good fights on it. I mean, he is really good at building these cards, but it's going to be hard to compare anything to what's happening in February there if you go fight for fight.
Definitely, man. So let's take a quick look. So we got Fury Usyk 2 fight card. We got, of course, headlined by Usyk and Fury for the WBA, WBC, and the WBO heavyweight title. Suri Bobkuch, I forgot how to pronounce that correctly. And Ishmael Davies, light middleweight. You know, of course, there's no belts involved in that one. Moses Utuma, Dempsey McKean. Dempsey McKean's a really good one, another up and comer. I'm excited about that one. Johnny Fisher, Dave Allen, another heavyweight fight. Dave Allen is known for taking guys' heads off their shoulders. Dennis McCann versus Peter McGrail for McCann's European super bantamweight title. Isaac Lowe versus Lee McGregor featherweight. Anything with the name McGregor, you gotta expect some Irish people. You gotta expect a little bit of color in that one. So that may be exciting too. So basically on that one, we're doing another one in Riyadh out there in Saudi Arabia, December 21st. And you know what? I'm going to talk about this one in this case, Bobby, because we're not going to talk bad about the card. But you know what I love about this one, and I don't know if you know. We talked about PFL a couple weeks ago, and their marketing strategy and how they don't brand their fights as colossal events, and there's no glitz, no glamour, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the chat, everybody watching, Bobby, YouTube, when you get some time, go on YouTube, type in Fury versus Usyk 2 commercial. When I say they spared no expense to get an ad done to basically mirror a movie trailer, they did it. They did pretty good before. They had a game with with everybody with the other 2 fights, I think that was on the Riyadh card before, where somehow, some way, we got a decent commercial, but this one right here, that I want to show it. You think I can show it? I don't know.
No, not a chance.
We'll probably get kicked off. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, go type it in on YouTube right now. Fury, well, not right now. Wait till the show's over. Fury versus Usyk 2 trailer. It's movie-esque, it's dynamic. I think they hit the nail on the head. But so for right now, Bobby, we got February. When you think about Fury Usyk 2, are you excited to see the outcome, especially after thinking, hey, look, it was a little lopsided with this one, or with the last one with Usyk taking Fury out. So what are you thinking about this one on the 21st? And we're going to get it a little more in depth as we get closer to the date too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all good with the rematch. Personally, you kind of always figured a fight of that magnitude, they always have the claws like kind of connected and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that fight, particularly. But that's about it for that card, for why I'm going to be tuning in, opposed to the card in February. I will be there from start to finish, no doubt. So that, they're definitely feel like they're built different in that. But I am interested to see how Fury bounces back, from a loss and stuff like that. And so to me, they're very kind of intriguing questions that we're going to get answered in this. I understand, because of different options on the table, why people kind of wanted to go different ways and stuff. But like I said, these always seem to creep up on us faster than we think. So, this fight will already be done and over with. And then these guys can, move on to fighting with whoever is next. But yeah, I think it's going to be really on point, just as good as the first one. Interested to see if Fury changes anything up. Because, there's no denying that he obviously took it seriously and everything like that. You can't really put a Francis angle on this, because he knows the type of boxer Usyk is. So, he's not going to be fucking around. Right. And a lot of people say he completely got outclassed that night. And, it's really hard to, disagree with the numbers with that. But I do think it was compelling enough for me to be excited enough for the rematch. Because again, what is Usyk? Is he going to do anything differently? Does he think he just, can do the same thing? Because, I would think Fury would at least be coming with somewhat of a different game plan. And, you know, realistically, it'll probably just be another, 12 round high class boxing match, but we'll see what we get.
Yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head. To me, I think it was the first one was a bit of an underestimation of Usyk's class of boxing. When you think about the heavyweight division and the cruiserweight division being right up under it. There's normally not a lot of cruiserweights that go up and still maintain, speed, strength, stamina, so on and so forth. But Usyk really showed out on this one. I don't want to blame I don't want to blame the way that Fury fought in that first one on like maybe like a little bit of a lull, like, oh, it's not Francis. Oh, it's not what's my guy's name? It's not the odds, like it's not a name that we as necessarily fight fans could identify. But Alexander Usyk in Europe is that guy. You know what I'm saying? Is undoubtedly a figure in the boxing world. I think it was pretty cool too when they had that press conference and he showed up like the Hitman 47. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that shows he's got a little bit of gamesmanship in this too. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, UFC is so closely related to the fight game, but the UFC fighters with a lot of their disdain, it's easily built up. We go in there, they said they train hard. I'm sweating. I'm gonna submit them. But two guys who normally don't do a lot of talking, besides maybe Fury, but at times they built it up pretty well, especially when you got Usyk showing up and letting Fury know, yeah, it's about your face. I remember that one. He was like, what is this about? What are you going to say? It's about your face, and I'm going to smash it. And that's what he said, of course, in his native language. His English has gotten way better. Usyk's English has gone multitudes over, but that is what makes the fight the way that somehow, some way, two guys can get up there and seem as though this is going to be the end all be all, even when it's not. It didn't take a knockout for it to be exciting. Sometimes I think when we think about boxing, I think I said it one time. Bobby, what you watch a Tank Davis fight or something. We get spoiled. We get spoiled by Tank Davis knockouts. We get spoiled by Bud Crawford looking really good and crispy and clean in the ring and almost seemingly not getting touched. But from time to time, we get these matchups where, just like in Fury and Usyk, where it's back and forth the whole 12 rounds. It almost looks like neither man got the best of them, but of course Usyk did. I'm expecting something of that nature again. I mean, who knows? Maybe Fury played a little slow just to get that extra check. And hey, comes back and takes the win on this one, which will make room for a trilogy fight.
Well, the one thing I wonder is with the fight getting rescheduled and stuff, and them essentially like having to do two camps, did that maybe take something out of Fury or something like that? I mean, but other than that, I can't really think of anything in the ring that really like would have affected the performance, because like both of them like obviously trained and stuff. But maybe with that being removed and this just being the rematch now, maybe there's different things they can look at. I mean, obviously they have the tape of the first fight to go off, which they obviously did not have before. There was just tape of them fighting other people. So I am really interested to see if I do think Fury has motivation to try to get back in there and get one. The question just really is he able to make those adjustments? Because Usyk is pretty much the best in the world. So it's is he going to be able to take that from him? Because that's essentially what they were fighting for the first time when they did it. So I can't wait for it to happen. It's kind of cool that it kind of creeped up out of nowhere. So I didn't have to really wait long for it. You know, they don't really need to do these like elaborate press conferences and stuff as much because they're not really too concerned about selling tickets and stuff. I guess to me, that's like the only downside of the whole Riyadh thing is, you know, it's not really going to be an electric atmosphere. But when you look at like the quality of the fights you get, it kind of feels like a small sacrifice because in other situations, I don't think these things would get made.
Nah, bro. That's definitely the true statement behind it. When you got these types of high stakes, it's very rarely that two guys want to put such high stakes on, unifications. You know what I'm saying? Unifications are really tough to come by when you think about boxing. Normally, me and you, Bobby, we got two different promoters. I might throw up one belt. I might give you the WBO, maybe the WBC. I'm not coming up off all four of them. It's very rare. And then if it is, there's a clause in there that says, "Hey, I'm guaranteed X amount of dollars for this fight because this is basically life changing money and life changing positions as far as the dynamic of who's going to be who once the fight is over." But the cool part about the way that I think Riyadh season, Turkey Al Sheikh once again, salam alaikum to all my brothers out there. You know, I think that the cool thing is the money becomes past is past the objective. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go into the negotiating room, of course, business wise, me and you, Bobby, we're gonna go. Well, what about the bottom line? They're going to how many commas do you want? You want another comma? You want another zero? It's simple, it's easy, and it's done quickly. But somehow, some way, they manage to come together on the numbers, and then once the numbers are done, make the fight. Oh snap! There it goes.
What?
Shout out to Watkins, bro. Yeah, we were just talking shop, man. We was wondering where you were at, doing a little boxing.
Uh, yeah, I had my son had a basketball game, so father time, dad duties have to happen. It is fledged high school basketball season now, so you got to do what you got to do.
Hey man, look here, dog. You preaching to the choir, man. Dad duties. Yeah, you in there. You got it.
All right. Just making sure. Yeah, it is. You guys. So I was you guys were talking a little of the boxing. If you don't, are you guys finished, or we need to get into the UFC 10 post show a little bit here. Yeah, there's the body. Yeah, hey, that's what they say. That's what she said.
Yeah,
but UFC 310 was an incredible night, headlined by what? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we a little bit.
What'd you say?
I think we pretty much did everything. Me and Bobby, we talked Fury and Usyk 2 and on the 21st, and that's that big card in Riyadh on February 22nd with Bivol and Better Beef. Yep, we got them.
All right, hey, let's get into UFC 3. Alexander Pantoja looks like the new king of flyweights. His third title defense, and by God, it may not be a joke that he is anymore that fighter of the year. I was kidding with before, but he might have inserted a nice case as he gets the finish of Asakura in the second round. But I think the night going away, even in the loss, more people seem to be talking about Ian Gary than anybody. Going the full 5 rounds with Shavkat Rakhmonov. I hate people on the internet trying to tell me Shavkat is fraud checked or he's washed or his aura's gone. Get rid of that bullshit. He to me, it shows how good, talented Ian Gary is. We do find out that Shavkat torn MCL going into the fight, still took it, had everything to go into the fight, and still took it, still beat Ian Gary 3 rounds to 2. Unfortunately, didn't get the finish, so it wasn't 18 up, 19 up, 19 down situation, but still got the dub. And I was more blown away with how good Ian Gary and Pantoja did Saturday night. To me, that's the storyline. Bobby, I'll start with you. What's the storyline to you coming out of UFC 310?
I think overall that the card just delivered, especially the main card. I think I did the standard rewatch, and there were some things that I didn't really catch at the time and stuff. But I mean, if I were to label one story, it would probably be Pantoja's ceiling, because like he definitely I think distanced himself from like everyone in the division and stuff like that. He looked fantastic. But, at the same time, the main reason we broke down the co-main event last week was the intriguing stuff that was going to come out of that fight. And I think that delivered as well. Because, I mean, like you said, people are high on Gary, and we're happy with his performance. And you also got, the internet's going to internet with the Shavkat stuff. But that fight was, I don't know. I hear a lot of people like saying it was boring and stuff. I just don't really understand what you're tuning in like for to watch. Like if you think something's like going to be over in 10 or 15 seconds, I'd recommend
What about you? What's your storyline? UFC 3.
Bro, first off, once again, I'm so glad to be here. I missed you guys, Bakken, so it's good to see you. Thanks for having your face in the place. Low key, I did get a chance to see this one. What's up? Shout out to my guy, man, Nate Landwehr. I so thought he was gonna do something on that one, but he got knocked out, unfortunately.
we all did.
He just got his ass beat for 3 rounds, really. I mean, just shout out to the what's that? What's his name? What's his nickname, Bobby? It's something cool. Korean Astro Boy. I feel like it's something like that.
Korean Astro Boy or
Superboy. Like that's it. Yeah, I knew it was like Korean Superboy. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
And then okay, so one of the I didn't get to catch the main because I had little family stuff. Shout out to my son who's recovering right now. So Volkov, Cyril Gane, right? Was I tripping? Could that have possibly ended up in maybe a draw? Not necessarily going to Cyril Gane. Could it have been, possibly just a Volkov win? I think
everybody but Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles thought that Alexander Volkov won that fight.
I thought there was some really good moments for Cyril Gane. They made mention of it numerous times. Oh my God! Oh, he's getting taken down. This is how he lost to John Jones. We know, but the point is, he did not just lay there and get taken. So shout out to Cyril Gane for actually training in a spot that he was lacking in. But man, Volkov spinning back fist catches him in that second round. Volkov, it seemed like his arsenal of striking is just a little bit more spread out now. But somehow, some way, we get the decision with Cyril Gane. I mean, do we have to have a judges class over? Do we have to?
In live time, I thought Volkov won 3-0.
3? I would definitely
in live time. I thought Volkov won 3-0.
Did you go back and watch? I'll definitely give him 2-1. That somewhere in there, I give.
What about you, Bobby? I see you got the smile on your face.
I give Cyril Gane some credit though. He did try in this
one. Okay, yeah. In real time, I did score it for Volkov. I thought it would be Volkov, and I was watching this fight, and I was like kind of grateful. I kind of made a remark to my buddy like, Well, fortunately, I don't think I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this one. And then, sure enough, the decision was read. I mean, Gon literally walked out of the octagon because he thought he lost. And
Yeah.
I was, so I obviously I had to rewatch it because the decision's pretty controversial. So rewatching it, I get why someone might have that opinion, because like the first and second round are narrowly close. Whit mentioned the spinning back fist in the second round. That's kind of why I think a lot of people gave the second round to Volkov. But Gon did get taken down early, and it kind of made it look like, oh shit, is this going to be the same thing again? And he was able to get back up, which was extremely shocking to me. Like, I mean, so I don't give Gon a lot of credit, so absolutely shout out to him for that. It does seem like he is working on his grappling and stuff, so he apparently has been putting in the time. But I don't know, that first and second round is so close. The third round, I don't know how you can't score it for Volkov, because he literally was like on top the entire time in that position. So I don't think that round is really the one in question. It really is that first two. So I do think that Volkov should have won the fight. However, I do think it was too close to be labeled like a robbery. Because just some of those positions were just stale and canceling each other out, and Gon ended
it
up.
It was a close fight.
What was that? You cut out.
Boggins, did you scream? Did it freeze?
Necessarily. Oh, am I frozen? Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know how it is sometimes. I was going to say, I don't think it was a robbery, so to speak, but I think it was a close fight that I just scored for Volkov. Like, I thought Volkov really won those close rounds, and definitely outright the third round. In so much where we saw Surreal leave the cage. And the judges must have been sitting sideways, at the, two of the judges sitting, side going, isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Because that's just kind of how I thought who was judging. But nonetheless,
I could see why
to me, like that fight, I definitely. Yeah, I had a 3-0 Volkov in Lifetime.
Yeah, no,
I thought for sure when they read the scorecards, Volkov took it, and then they said Surreal Gon. I said, "Holy shit! I must have been looking at what, like going to the bathroom or something during this fight. I don't know what happened, but I must have missed something because I had a 3-0 Volkov in Lifetime."
Yeah, man, 3-0 Volkov sounds about right. I definitely would have. I might even said split decision, because I think that with a couple of those reversals, the one, I think Sirigan got like 2 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, submission attempts. They didn't look, and when I say submission attempts, it's not like Sirigan is a guy who does submissions.
I don't even know if I'd like to call those attempts. He grabbed the ankle and tried to turn it like my 7-year-old would, like with me when we're on.
Yeah, but he went for the leg lock again.
Go ahead, Bobby.
He did the move that cost him the fight against Francis. And so, like, as much as I was just saying, like, credit to Gon for working on it, his stuff, he still is doing a lot of the same old dumb shit. And when we were breaking this down originally, what was the main thing I was preaching? Why are we doing this? And honestly, like, run it back. Like, just do a rematch with these two. Neither of these guys can fight Tom. It would just be a one-sided ass whooping. Just have them fight each other, and let's hope Tom, books his fight with John Jones.
Yeah, that's really the good point. Like, I would almost run this back for the third time, because I don't know what guy who's next for either guy. Like, if it's Thomas next for Jones, like who does Surreal? I know he's got some broken toes, so it might be a while before he's out. And I why don't Volkov? Like, there's nobody really higher than Surreal, and they thought that Volkov. Dana even said he thought Volkov won that fight. So like, I don't really know what's next for either one. I'm okay running that back for a third time.
Listen, bro, you hit the nail on the head. For what it's worth, why not? Like, why not? I mean, what are we gonna do? Who we gonna slide up there? Jordan Almeida? Probably not. Curtis Blades? No. You know, it's no knock. It's no knock on the heavyweight division.
Well, Blades has fought both of them already.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Where would the competition come from if not from themselves right now? Of course, and Pavlovich beat Curtis Blades, and that was pretty much a wash. And then somehow, some way, of course, we got to throw Cyril God in there. What else can we see right now from the heavyweight division? And in a sense, I'm almost in the same space of when it comes to the heavyweight division. Are we going to have to outsource just like they did for this card one day? Are we coming to that point where, if the Tom and John Jones fight does or does not happen, when it does happen, no more Stipe, possibly no more John, are we going to begin to outsource heavyweight talent into the division just to spice it up? Because it's almost like a stalemate at the top.
Well, the next fight would be Surreal and Tom. But Tom's got to fight John Jones. That's to me what needs to happen. And kind of speak on what's next with Alexander Pantoja. Like, ass ain't coming back. So that YouTube money's too good. Who should be next for Alexander Pantoja with?
Man, listen, you said it. First of all, you said it right. Mighty Mouse is not coming out of retirement for no Alexander Pantoja. Heck no. I think that's too far beyond the reach. Now, if we're thinking Pantoja and we're looking at who's up at the top of the rankings, we got Roy Val, we got Moreno, Albizi. Listen,
beat him.
Yeah, I'm about to say that.
I think.
Yeah, where can we find a matchup that Pantoja hasn't either dominated or will dominate? And it's got to be some new blood down here that makes the scene, because I definitely don't think Roy Val is the one. I'm not to say that he can't prove himself further, and unfortunately we've seen Moreno be so up and down. and we've seen the Pantoja fight 6 times already in the last 2 months, 2 years. I don't know. It's an epidemic of saying, we had Asakura come in just to give him a little heat, like in wrestling. Where will we get the next guy from? What's going on in the PFL? What's going on? Where are these WEC guys that are fighting in China right now? What's going on in Pride? Who can we get that size to give him a run for his money? Or does Pantoja take the bait and move up a little bit and say, you know what, it's nobody else for me to fight. Let's maybe either let's try and take a stab at featherweight or bantam. We'll probably bantam. Featherweight would probably be too much weight.
What about you, Bobby? Who do you think should be next? I got 2 names in mind.
There's only one name to me, and no, that name ain't Figgy. Figgy, you don't get to lose to Jan and then be like, oh, let me get my fastest road back to the title and come back down to Pantoja. I think the weight cut would kill him, and I also think Pantoja would, have a pretty good chance of success in that. I think the only answer is the fight that should have got booked in the first place. And I can't believe I'm campaigning for him, but it's Kai Car France. Like, that's the easiest answer there is. Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, that's not the name that's not the name I'm gonna say.
Well,
The king. I can't believe this name's gonna come out my mouth.
Uh-oh.
The king of cringe, Mr. Henry Cejudo, who never lost that title. Remember, Henry never lost the flyweight title. He has talked about coming back down to fight Moreno at flyweight if he can get his butt back in the gym and cut the weight one more time. Why not do Henry Cejudo and Alexander Pantoja? Why not Triple C, the king of cringe, and Mr. Pantoja? That he beat Mighty Mouse. So if you beat the man who beat Mighty Mouse, you want to fight Mighty Mouse, you can at least beat the man that beat Mighty Mouse in Henry Cejudo.
Look, I like that
Nobody has mentioned King of Prince's name. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. A lot of people have said Figgy could come back down. I don't think that Figgy is the guy. I don't think he's going to do that. I still think feels like he can make it a bantamweight run. But why not? Henry tried 135 and he lost. He's lost his last two fights at 135. So why not go back down to 125 to the flyweights and try to regain your championship? And then to me, like that's the run that's the fight that if I'm Pantoja, that's the fight to make next.
Man,
I get the Kai Car France. I get the Kai Car France too, because I mean, as far as rankings are in line, Kai Car France makes sense. But to me, if I'm Henry Cejudo, I'm calling for that fight.
I smell the money line on this one burning, as you said, bro. Like coming back from being on the couch, doing the podcast, and the podcast is actually doing numbers. So shout out to Cejudo and Kamaru Usman. It makes sense. He wants to call out a legendary fighter, so technically, Triple C legendary status himself. I like it. You're thinking outside the box. I gotta remember what type of guy you are when I come on the show.
That was the first name I thought of after he said Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse. We all know Mighty Mouse ain't going to come back. Somebody offered him. He admittedly said somebody, not the UFC, offered him $2 million to fight, and he said no, thank you. So I don't think, and I believe Mighty Mouse is one of them people that have taken care of himself, has done well outside of the octagon, to where I believe his retirement. And unlike Henry Cejudo, who had defaulted retirement, that was the first name I thought of, because there's nobody really left. Let these flyweights outside of maybe Kai Car France, but he's had his chances. We've seen that. I don't know. I think that's it. Let me ask you guys this. Our friend of the program, Rob J Spec, the host, he asked this question. I'll ask you guys: how many title defenses for Alexander Pantoja, Bobby? How many can he do? He's already at 3. How many more?
I mean, it would kind of just depend on how many they could book him. Legitimately, I think. Would it count if he did a defense and then went up and got a belt? Or are you just talking in the flyweight division, 3 more defenses?
Let's just say the flyweight division. Let's just say the flyweight.
I mean, if you
he does the Mighty Mouse thing and just stays at flyweight.
If you look at his division, like 1 through 12, it's pretty stacked. I could easily see him rattling like 5 to 7 title defense. Providing they book the fights.
Mm-hmm.
These guys aren't quick, so maybe I just think he'll have that many because he's already beaten half of the guys. So, the other half are just people more at the bottom of the ranking sheet. But I think it's intriguing enough for kind of, I'm a fan of rematches. So, I mean, especially when it's high level guys and stuff. And I don't think like as far as the Cejudo thing, the reason I didn't think of Cejudo is I would just be kind of surprised if he could still make that weight. Because, it just that is pretty down there. But, the partnership that I wouldn't call it a partnership, but it wouldn't shock me if they don't bring in a few more guys from Ryzen and stuff like that. I think the true elephant in the room is, could there ever be any buyback grace for Muhammad Mokaev? Because when you look at how everything played out, it seems like all the UFC did with the whole dick swinging contest and cutting him was lose a future contender for Pantoja. I mean, it would have had, you could have sold it that he is technically undefeated. Some people think he shouldn't have won the Cape fight, but he is undefeated. And but that's kind of the wild position we're in, is the UFC would rather cut an undefeated contender than book him with Pantoja. So who knows what they're gonna do? But I'm at the point where I don't really care. Like, if it's a Pantoja fight, I'll be there because I'm showing up for him. I mean, he's truly going to be the A side of anything. I get why he did the Mighty Mouse call out and stuff, but the big part of it was really just there's nobody else to call out. But I for me, the perfect thing would be for him to fight France and maybe bust off the Royval rematch and or trilogy rematch, whatever you want to call it, and then he goes up to bantamweight.
I think Moreno was closer. The Moreno fight was closer.
Yeah, I mean, not to be disrespectful to anyone in flyweight, but it doesn't really matter who he faces. If he gets another 2 victories in flyweight, let him go up to bantamweight and get an immediate title shot.
There we go. And that to me, it is to put a bow on this conversation. Let's say he does 2 more title defenses. He does Kai Car, France, he gets Kai Car. You throw a second guy in there, doesn't really matter who. The next big deal, especially if Marab, does Umar, he wins. Davison Figueroa, he wins. Like, the next big thing would be to see who becomes champ out of those.
Peter Yan's right. The thing at 135 is it's stacked, but and then when you do these 2 title fights like that, when a champ comes up, it kind of stalls the division up a little bit. It's my only problem. But I agree, Bobby. If he wins 2 or 3 more and he wants to move up, now he's kind of debunked that. He's kind of said he was going to move up for O'Malley, I think. I think because he saw the money. And then after O'Malley lost, he's kind of said, I'm just going to stay here at 125 and fight forever. As long as he can make the weight.
If I'm Peter Yan, I am checking with a nutritionist and seeing if I can make flyweight. Because that would be I do think someone should go down. That is the opportunity. If you want a chance to get a title, there's a quick path to the title. That fight is not going to be easy by any means, but you could probably cut the line very quickly if you were to drop down. So that division, like you said, is so
Cody Garbrandt tried that and didn't work out. So.
Yeah. Well, respect to him, these guys are still kind of in their prime, and if they did it they might have more success.
What did JD say right there?
Real quick, JD has a question. I just want to answer his question. The slap fighting that you see in Dana and JD, that Dana owns that. That's why you see him in all this slap stuff. The UFC is separate than the slap. They'll never they're owned. You had Dana White and whatever Zufra or whatever it is, TKO, I guess, owns slap. It's backed by them, but different than the UFC. So that's kind of already leaned into it. But as far as like UFC, they're kind of cross promote them because they want people who watch the UFC to watch slap. And I mean, there's people I'm sure that do tune in, but I'm not. So
long story short,
ESPN
real quick. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that don't they have the fights, the slaps on ESPN Plus?
Hell no, they're on like Rumble.
No, they're not on ESPN Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on some fucking app or something.
Long story short,
Yeah.
Slap is Dana's new project that he actually gives a fuck about and that he has passion for, unlike the UFC.
Yeah. It might be probably true. What do you guys make of what's next for Kai Asakura as he is after losing the title fight, he's ranked number 15. You get unranked, gets the title fight, you lose in the second round, you get tapped out, and then you're already ranked to the 15. It's like, man, you got to work your way back up, I guess. But his next fight, who would you like to see Kai Asakura fight?
Man, even though he's down here for 14, I want to see something. I want to see something nice. His skill set calls for like almost like let's see, maybe like if you get a couple spots up, just in order, somebody like a Steve Eckridge would be a good one. And I don't want to go too high because now that he's actually huh?
I said that's who I was thinking. Steve Erceg. Yeah, I like.
Yeah. I said Eckridge. Yeah, Steve Erceg is a good one. That's not too high. It's not too far. And look, man, let's be real. My guy Tim Elliott looked real spicy last time in the ring, and Tim Elliott is a good draw. Let's just see if Kai Asakura can get in there and slug it out like he's done in his previous promotions. I think the skill set that Pantoja had for him in the ring when he just started unfolding on him, I think it was just a little bit too much. He didn't expect it. But let's just at least see him tag a couple guys. And I'm definitely liking Tim Elliott. Steve Erceg is a good one too.
What about you, Bobby? Who you got? Who you think should be next for?
I think he should fight down and not up. I mean, they put him at 14, and you look at 1 through 14, and all I'll say is good fucking luck. I'm not saying that he can't win any of these fights. That's not what I'm saying at all. But those top names none of them are an easy night in the office. So honestly, I'll take the field. Like Joshua Van on the
you're saying anybody. Just give it anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got like a huge list to choose from, but like Joshua Van, who's ranked, I think, 1 under him, who fought on the prelims. Like,
15.
Give me Van versus him. I mean, I think that would be perfect. If they want to go higher because they're worried about optics because they just gave him a title shot, I guess. But what I'm concerned about, like, what if he drops his next 2 fights because he's fighting guys in the top 5, and he looked good. He threw some killer knees. I mean, there are a lot of people that are saying I don't think anyone else eats those knees. But the second he got his back taken when he was on the ground, like when that takedown was in, he just looked like a fish in the water, and he knew the fight was over. So I know he just got a title shot, but I necessarily don't think he should be fighting anyone in the top 10 immediately. Like, not saying he doesn't have the skills to hang, but if you end up matching him up with those guys, you're just going to end up, burning out a guy, having him fight people in the top 5 when, he had the match against Pantoja, and there was obviously a skill gap. And it's not like these other guys don't have grappling. Not all of them are going to stand and, strike with him for 25 minutes.
I agree.
True. I'll give you that. Let's move into the co-main. We know that Shavkat is Bilal and Shavkat's next, but Ian Gary looked super impressive in the loss. So in my mind, he looked like he belonged. Like he looks like a guy that is probably one win away. He kind of shot down the Leon fight in London, at least not the opponent, just the location. But like, who's next for Mr. I'm about to say Leon Edwards, but Ian Machado Gary, should we say?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say what they do with him next. You would think they'd probably reward him and ask him what he wants to do next, because he did end up saving the card. If that fight was not on the card, it would have went by pretty quickly, and we would have just really gotten the main event there. But when you go off what's next with him, I would not mind at all if they just give him the winner of this weekend's fight. I mean, he was already scheduled with Buckley, and Ian does seem to hold on to this fantasy that he thinks fighting Kobe is good for his career, when literally what we saw, what was good for his career, is what he just did. That's the fight he took that got him put over. So I understand why he wants to fight him, but I'd be much more interested in other matchups in the division. Like, give me Sean Brady versus Gary. I think that would be a very high technical fight. But give him Anthony Buckley if he wins. And realistically, with what you're saying about we haven't talked about Shavkat's performance or anything, but with this supposed injury he has with the torn ligament, who's to say Gary doesn't end up getting the title shot next because of stuff getting
I feel
out.
like the timeline still fits, right? Like, if Shavkat doesn't have to have surgery on this MCL, that they're saying, or shoulder, I think, right? So
see, this is where I want to be very careful about this, because where I will admit that this was a great high-level class fight, if that Shavkat went into a match with Bilal Muhammad, Bilal would easily beat him. And I say that mainly because of the injury. Like, this is already best versus best. If he goes in with a lingering injury or even semi-compromised, I mean, forget about it. Bilal will wear him down with the pace. And I do think in the end, Shavkat will just end up fighting through it and not getting surgery. But if he is being told that surgery is what needs to happen, that's probably what he needs to do to be able to win the fight against Bilal Muhammad. Like,
I was just saying, like, the timeline fits still, I think, right? Like, second quarter of 25, or maybe even, somewhere in there, maybe even the third quarter, because Bilal's had the injury. Now he says he is able to train. So maybe Shavkat can get the surgery, and then they can, get healed up and get ready to go for the maybe you're right. Maybe Ian Gary slips right in.
Ian Gary, or like, I mean, honestly, if I'm Leon, I'm jumping off that London card and I'm waiting to see what's going on with Bilal. Because, I mean, I completely agree that it's a layup that Shavkat should be next. But we all know how these things work. If they need a title fight, they're going to come calling. They're already getting a lot of stuff booked early in the year and stuff. I would imagine they'd want this fight to happen around like April or something like that. Maybe they take it like closer into International Fight Week. But, you know, it all just really depends on how quickly they kind of need the fight. And that's why it's kind of the dangerous game of the surge. You know, maybe you can get like stem cells or something, and you know they're very good with recovery, so maybe it's not even as bad. Like I mean, honestly, Cormier could have very well been speaking out of turn there too, because like I'm not doubting the information didn't get given to him, but like when was that on the broadcast after the fight he was saying that?
I don't know. I just know that he said it, and that's what's been reported.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I always take those things with a grain of salt. In my mind, that is not why Ian Gary had the success.
No, it's not either. I don't want to take anything away from Ian Gary. Like Ian had a hell of a fight and proved that he is just as good of a contender and can be right there. What about you? What's next for the young Ian Gary?
Man, let me tell you something. I got a chance to watch some of that backstory for Ian Gary. I know a lot of times everybody looks crazy at his camp situation where is it like the trainer's ex-girlfriend is his wife now or some whatever the case may be. However, the love triangle is, I like the fact that he went out there, he put it all out on the line. I also love the fact that although there was no title exchange in this one, it was 5 rounds. I think that was what was best. It gave everybody, both fighters, an opportunity to kind of, not go out there and burn out fast. And we got 5 rounds worth of work, in my opinion. When I'm looking at the rankings now, all right, of course, you got Ian Gary down here at 7. One loss is one loss, and it's not so bad. You know what I mean? So let's pump the brakes on him. Falling off the map right now. Technically, I would love to see what happens with Joaquin Buckley and Colby Covington this weekend to make a determination of whether maybe the next Joaquin Buckley fight is a co-main event on a pay-per-view with Ian Gary. Somehow, some way. If let's see, I was looking at Carlos Parates. He just had a good win back in November. I like his fighting style, and it goes somewhat with what Ian Gary does well. So that of course, styles make fights. So Carlos Parates right there at 13. He wants to make a name for himself. He's coming up. He just beat Uncle Neil Magny. Y'all know how I feel about Neil Magny. I think that'd be a cool one. And not even to go even further down, we don't see it enough, but I still think that Vincent Luque is one of those guys coming up slow. He just had a couple bumps in the road when his name, I think, was
had a big win. Just had a big win on Saturday.
Just had a big win. Like when his name was coming up, I think he took like that Joaquin Buckley loss, made kind of hurt his little ascent a little bit. But I do like Vincent Luque in the aspect of saying, look, we want to give you what's it called? We want to give you a Rubik's Cube. This is confusing, and he just had a big win. Let's see if you can really let's see how what your skill set really calls for. Let's see what you really got in the bag, Ian Gary, and let's give you maybe Vincent Luque. But definitely, ask me that question when we do the review for the fight night this weekend, and we'll after we see what goes on with Colby Covington and Joaquin Buckley, because I would definitely go co-main next season. February, March, co-main Joaquin Buckley and Ian Gary. If not, then definitely I'm liking Vincent Luque or Carlos Parates right there at 13, 14. I think those would be cool too.
So here's my problem with the Parates and Luke. I want Ian Gary to fight up because he just did the UFC a favor. So I don't, and he doesn't want to fight down the rankings. And so he needs one win away. So fighting those guys don't do anything as far as that title shot. I do like the stylistic matchup of him. Parates would be fun. I think Parates is just a gangster.
Right.
The person that makes the most sense to me is probably meant the winner of this Saturday night card. But we'll make picks here on that in just a second. But it's Kamaru Usman. Like, he's been kind of calling Kamaru Usman a bitch, and says he's squatting on his spot and talking a lot of shit. So why not do him and Kamaru? You beat a former welterweight, a guy who's probably on the welterweight like Mount Rushmore and Kamaru Usman. That puts you very next, right in the next spot, if it's not going to be Leon. So to me, like, if I'm Ian Gary, that's the fight I'm trying to and he seems like he's trying to, right? He's trying to get Kamaru to stop talking on his podcast and kind of come fight him. And we haven't seen Kamaru in like 2 years now. So I think it's either Kamaru needs to get out the fucking rankings or fight. And why not fight Ian Gary? I know that's a fight that, Ian's saying like he doesn't want none because Ian's got the ground, can wrestle, and Kamaru will try to pick a non-wrestler a la JDM, which that fight's been rumored before too. So, but that's the fight I want, is give me Ian Gary versus Kamaru Usman.
Oh man, you 2 for 2 with these podcasts today, brother. I mean, you want Triple C to get up all the way for the microphone. We want Usman to get back into the ring.
Get the fuck off their stupid podcast. I hate that podcast. It's cringy. It's dumb. And get back to that guy.
You know that they were friends is my point. As soon as I saw those names, I was like, yo, y'all hang out. They hang out, bro. Really?
Go ahead, Bobby. What were you saying?
Unlike the Triple C one, I actually love this one.
You're welcome.
Think is the right call. I do think that is kind of what Gary was trying to do, was poach that fight from JDM, because like that thing is either signed and they haven't announced it yet, or it's just simply not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, I also style-wise would really love Gary and JDM, but I'm completely with you on letting him fight up because he did them a favor. So why not give him Usman? It's essentially what he wants with Kobe, but he just more accolades and stuff. So, the question is, will Usman want to take it? Which I don't think he would deny it. I think it would really just come down to like scheduling and stuff like that, because he's not going to do anything like on short notice. He wants like a full camp.
Full camp. Yeah,
and he probably wants a guaranteed title shot afterwards if a win. We talked about it last week.
Gary's at that point. Well, that's what you get if you beat him.
Yeah, agreed. And we talked about it last week too, Bobby, where it was going to be, we thought Usman had accepted, and we think that he thought the interim title would be on the line, and then that would lead him to the title shot. And then once they took the interim title off, this is all my speculation, then he pulled out the fight, or the Shavkat fight. So real quick, I just kind of want to wrap up 310. I want to look at the Tampa Bay card before we get out of here. Bryce Mitchell with a nice win. Dominic Reyes, another win. Anthony Smith, it was sad to see, needs to retire. Real quick, let me ask you guys this. Mozart Evloev beats Aljamain Sterling in a unanimous decision. This is a two-part question. First of all, I really thought watching that fight was anybody that doesn't like grappling, give me two high grapplers. That fight was a lot of fun, with just all the exchanges and things like that. I was like, this fight probably should have been on the pay-per-view. It was, it was a great fight, like just a great grappling fight. Just two great grapplers, two of the best grapplers in the world. not just in the UFC, but in the world going at it. I enjoyed
In the
that
world,
fight
yeah.
so much. But Mozart wins a close one. This is a two-part question for both of y'all, and I'll kind of give my answer after that. Is Mozart next for Ilya? And have we seen the last of Aljamain Sterling? Go ahead, Bobby. I'll start with you.
I would have no problem with him being next at all. I know a lot of people.
So I think after Volk is what I mean, because I think Volk is next, and then Mozart.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people, would prioritize him or think Diego should get the next shot. To me, that is the most intriguing matchup for Ilya, just because there's a lot more questions with it. I just, I have seen the Volk fight before with Ilya, and I just think Ilya matches up very good with both him and Diego. So the Mozart fight is a lot kind of more intriguing to me. I put it at maybe a 1% chance of what they're actually going to do. I could totally see it being next with the second title defense. I don't buy for a second that Ilya is leaving the division. He says a lot of stuff. He does a lot of like public media and stuff, and eventually he might go up there, but he says a lot of stuff, and then when the UFC comes calling, he always answers. So I would have no issue with him being next. And I absolutely like what Aljo wants to do. That's kind of all up to him on his choice. But in no way do I think he should retire. Because, I mean, look at the fight we just saw.
Yeah.
I understand his, sentiments behind it of, he doesn't want to have to, go back up fighting contenders and stuff like that. But when you look at that fight where he essentially fought a contender, look at what we got. So to me, I really hope he doesn't retire, because there are so many intriguing names in that division for him to fight. But at the same time, he has made money. He's got the rum and stuff. And I am a big fan of these guys fighting to leave the game before the game leaves them. So, whatever he does, I wish him the best. But selfishly, I think he's definitely got a few more in him, especially in that division. And, you see where the division is. A decent win gets him right back in the conversation. I mean, that's how this sport works. It works fast, So, I think after he I didn't watch his whole pod, like talking about it. I'm sure he talked about it in a lot more depth, but I think he'll definitely still stick around, because, that was a high-class fight, and I could see a lot of people thinking he won it too.
Yeah, I thought it was close, but I kind of gave the edge to Mozart, but I thought it was a very close fight. What about you? Is Mozart next for Ilya, and have we seen the last of Mr. Sterling, the Funk Master?
Yeah, man. Big shouts out to Aljo, man. Putting on a little bit of weight, going to another weight class after having been at the top of a lower weight class. It's he said a lot of things, and as far as what he would like to do, as far as the strenuous nature that is training camp, what he has to put his body through, how at 33 or something, he's feeling that itch that he's done enough, I feel like he's one of those guys that something's got to challenge, and something has got to get him out of the bed. It's got to be a fight that pushes him to where he wants to be led to. It can't necessarily just be him falling off the map. So big shouts out to Aljo. But yeah, putting it on Mozart, recently, man, there's like, even though this guy probably should get a title shot, will get a title shot eventually. What's up with maybe somehow let's do a little mix up with Diego and Mozart? Like, does what I'm saying? Does that make sense to me? Possibly. even though it already has happened and we've already seen him win. I think that right there at the top, you got to do like a title eliminator because Lopez did win. Last month wasn't that last month?
Yeah, he beat a couple months ago. He beat Brian Ortega. Yeah.
Right. So he just took on Ortega. He's looked good. My thing is, sometimes fighters have fights that kind of catapult them. Ever since he lost to Mozart, Diego Lopez has looked freaking great. I think that their title contention is going to collide somewhere at the top, and somebody's got to go down. And although it has happened already, I think that Diego Lopez is a much more well-rounded fighter now, and we've already seen what Mozart does well in multiple occasions. I mean, grapple, yeah, stand up, yeah. Can he get you a sub? Of course he can. So I'm really into this. I'm really into seeing whether or not they will continue on next year and possibly find a way to collide one more time. Of course, to see who's gonna because we like you said, Volk is gonna get Ilya one more time. We know that. Max has got to slide his way around, but right there once
Max
again,
is down 155 all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Max slide his way around 155. If that happens, then if they're right there, let's say at 2 and 3 or 2 and 4 or 3 and 4, however you want to group it, and then that means they gotta link up again. So I think it's going to happen. It makes sense to me, and it was I think a young Diego Lopez, a less rounded Diego Lopez.
Diego took that fight on short notice.
Right. Which now that I'm thinking about it, and once again, look, he's looked crazy ever since that one loss. So I think it would make sense to get him back full camp, ready for action. Diego Lopez, Movsar Evelev, and make it a co-main and title elimination.
Yeah, I do think he's next for the title fight after Volk, and he might be even next after. If let's just say hypothetically Ilya does drop the title, do Mozart and Volk for the title. I think that makes the most sense. If that happens, I'm not buying it. But as far as Aljo, I think he probably comes back one more time. And then one more loss. I feel like we will have seen the last of the Funk Master, but only he can answer that. I'm not too sure. I mean, he seems like he's kind of beating himself up, trying to make a run, and just quite couldn't do it. But like Bobby said, like he went toe to toe with one of the best in the division, a guy who's undefeated and didn't get finished. It was a close draw, a close fight. Or a close decision. So there's that. Let's move in real quick before we get out of here and just kind of look at this week's main event. And it was supposed to be headlined by the one and only Ian Gary versus Joaquin Buckley. Obviously, we know Gary fights Shavkat. In steps Mr. Colby Covington, and by God, he was a delight at media day already. Trashing to the likes of pretty much calling John Jones gay. Bashing LeBron James. Saying that Trump loved Khabib because they're trying to, he needs the good negotiations with Russia. I mean, he was in prime Colby Covington. Being Colby Covington, prime Colby on the microphone. But Bobby, I'm going to ask you, will we get prime Colby in the octagon Saturday against the up-and-comer, the rise, Joaquin Buckley? I mean, I keep throwing out Fighter of the Year candidates. That's not Ilya. I mean, Joaquin Buckley, he wins Saturday night. He could make it a case. If not Fighter of the Year, breakthrough Fighter of the Year.
Breakthrough. I like that.
Yeah. And, completely separate to this, but like you said at the top, Pantoja is absolutely has to be in consideration, like in the names you're choosing. I was the one who laughed when you said that So, but yeah, he obviously needs to be taken in there. But yeah, getting to this fight, it's the last card of the year. So good that it's a live event and stuff. So it should go off pretty well. And, I was kind of bummed when Gary got pulled because I really liked the matchup between him and Buckley. There was kind of the dynamic before that Gary didn't want to fight him, saying, I'm not going to fight down. So, Buckley kind of had his chip on his shoulder. So I thought would have been really entertaining. And, then we get the switch up and it almost kind of asked the same questions and stuff like that. Regarding if we're going to get prime Kobe or not, it's hard to say. Watching his interview, when you remove, all the bullshit and stuff, he does actually say things like kind of acknowledging how his last performance was a bad performance and stuff, and I kind of did get the needing to put up or shut up type of energy and stuff. Like when he talked about the fight being booked, I think the main reason this thing got booked is he poked his head out asking for Shavkat, and they said, "Oh, you're healthy now. Yeah, you fight Shavkat, but we can have you step in to fight Joaquin Buckley. Thanks, Kobe." And he definitely still agreed to take the fight and stuff. But it was kind of interesting. Like he even talked about that kind of openly, like how it got booked and stuff. So he's always going to have Ghana, but the question is he going to be able to still put that same pace in and stuff like that he always did before? If it was truly the injury, why he had that off fight, then that's a reason to get me even more excited for this fight. But as is, I think it's going to stand very well because Buckley watches a bunch of tape and stuff. And, I think we're going to deliver. I hope it's a good fight. But at the same time, you kind of get both things. Like, is Kobe going to be able to turn back the clock? Because, if he beats Buckley, I'm sorry, but he's right back in the conversation because Buckley's on a tear right now.
Yeah, and Buckley's undefeated as a welterweight.
But when this fight got booked, which was pretty shortly, I was fairly confident that Buckley was going to win, just mainly because of his activity. I mean, the fact of him, already having 3 fights this year. Now, the reason I'm picking him could probably also be the one thing that can go against him. Is having that 4th fight this year going to be a little bit too much with the pace that Kobe wants to go with the fight? I don't think it will be because he's extremely conditioned and stuff. So realistically, I think Buckley has 25 minutes to knock out Kobe. And I think that's what we're going to get in the end. But if we don't, all credit to Kobe because he's obviously still here to stay. It's just this is what we've wanted for him for the longest time. It's just fight a relevant contender, the stuff he's saying about, not wanting to fight Ian Gary because who's he fought for and stuff. You took the fight with Buckley. These things cancel each other out.
Who's fought less names? They've actually fought about the same amount of names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about even.
I get his whole point of just never accepting defeat, and I'm just gonna pivot to putting him down, run with that. But unless someone's extremely naive, I don't think anyone really believes that's what's happening. So, I think Kobe taking this fight is showing that he's putting everything forward. Because he knows if he loses this one, it's probably going to be a tough, thing back at the drawing board.
So you're picking Joaquin?
Yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth with it and wrestled with it. No pun intended.
Literally wrestled.
saying, hey, can Kobe get the grappling going and kind of wear the pace and just do kind of endless spamming takedowns and really hold him up against the fence. But, I think Buckley is awkward enough to get one in. Like, you saw how the Wonder Boy fight was going. He was not winning that fight, and he ended up putting him out. And it was with Wonder Boy's own YouTube videos how he got the footage of knowing it was coming. So I think 25 minutes, the younger fighter will prevail. But we have been getting a lot of the, hey, not so fast moments these years. So do we get one of those to top off the year, or is it going to top off the year with a Buckley KO? I'm going with a Buckley KO and 4 wins for Buckley.
What about you, Whit? Who you like here in the main event, the final main event of the year?
Man, final main event of the year, man. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm going Buckley on this one, but I'm going decision. To me, I think this is if Kobe comes into this and is not sleeping on not just the opportunity, but the fighter himself. I think that this could be an opportunity for Kobe Covington to reinstate himself into the names that are spoken, weekly on shows like this right here. Because Joaquin Buckley, just like you said, right now on the move, he's one of those names where when you got that bit of inactivity since December 14th, where you lost to Leon, you know what I'm saying? You got to come back in
365 days.
Right. You literally got to come in and put somebody on their ass. And even if he loses, if it's a tough loss, if it's a split decision, I'll definitely give Kobe Covington some credit because like Bobby mentioned, that activity for Joaquin is keeping him relevant. And at the same time, he's winning fights, in multiple, in some fashions in which we have to talk about and make him relevant as we have these conversations. Kobe Covington was someone that we could say fought 2-3 times a year and would even in a loss would be somebody we want to watch. It's been a year now. I don't know if he's got it anymore. Ring rust is real. Ring fatigue is real. Ask Aljo, especially if you're fighting in a tough style like the wrestling style like both of these two got. But when I'm picking somebody this weekend, I'm definitely rolling with Mr. Joaquin Buckley on this one, man. And I'm hoping that Kobe puts up a competition because I think he's going to take it to him, man, straight up.
Yeah. So here's some fight odds for you guys real quick before I make my pick. Buckley's the favorite at -280. His 4th fight of the year. So I mean, like that's unheard of in this day and time. By TKO or knockout, Buckley is at +155. By TKO or knockout or DQ, 1,400 plus 1,400 for Colby. So sub 1,800 for Colby, plus 2,000 for Joaquin, and then by points plus 325 for Colby, and then plus 165 for Joaquin. So if you're gonna pick Colby, I'd probably go decision and do that route because it's a little bit more squeeze there. Real quick, Colby said that the people in this in the top, their personality is like a wet mop. Well, Colby, that wet mop, and you have the same amount of wins against anybody in the UFC roster, and that's 0. Colby does not have a win against anybody that is currently in the UFC roster. I think maybe they just re-signed Jorge, so I guess you can give him 1 win if you want to be technical. But nonetheless, has 0 wins with anybody in the top 15 and then some. So there's that. Joaquin Buckley is on a tear. Who would have thought this is who, and he might be, that's why I said he might be the most breakthrough fighter of the year, that Joaquin Buckley at the beginning of 2024, by the end of 2025, well, if he wins on Saturday night, could be in the top 5 of the welterweight division. Who had that? I don't even know if Joaquin Buckley had that. With that being said, I'm going with Missouri's own Buckley, baby. Let's go represent. Sometimes his personality rubs me wrong. Joaquin does, but I always root for him because he's from Missouri. And real quick, I just want to note also, there's a little Missouri flavor here. Joaquin Buckley from St. Louis is on this card. Who else is there's a couple people from Missouri that were on this card. Sean Woodson, who's from St. Louis, is on this card as well. He's a featherweight, ranked featherweight. He's on the prelims. And Miranda Maverick, who is from Jeff City, Missouri, is on this card as well. So a couple fighters from my home state here on this card. Not a bad card altogether. I'm looking at it as well. Like I mentioned, the co-main is none other than Cub Swanson and Billy Q. Manel Cape versus Bruno Silva's on this card. So Victor Petrino, Dustin Jacoby, Adrian Yanez, and Daniel Marco. So a little bit nice little card here to end the year. So ain't that right? S is saying Kevin Holland's hating this conversation about Buckley being considered breakthrough fighter. He probably is. But at the end of the day right now, Joaquin Buckley is sitting higher in the rankings and is maybe a better fighter than Kevin Holland. I've always wanted to see that rematch at welterweight. But right now, Joaquin Buckley is skyrocketed past Kevin Holland. I love Kevin, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
Buckley sticking.
Any final thoughts? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, Buckley's success is because, he moved to 170 and he stuck to that weight, not going in between and staying pretty committed. So, yeah, hopefully he gets a finish there. That'll get me 2 points in the fantasy league. I picked Buckley up. So hopefully that all works out. And, yeah, enjoy these fights because this is the last card for like 4 weeks. So
yeah.
What?
In the next 4 weeks, we're going to be talking about God knows what. We'll have a an award show where we'll give out some awards to the past year. We'll have like a preview of 2025 show. So there's 2 weeks. Next week we'll kind of talk about obviously the Tampa Bay card and some other things. I think actually Christmas is on Wednesday, so we probably won't have a show on Christmas or
yeah, we will talk about the Fury Usyk on the 21st. We will have some boxing.
Yeah. We will have some boxing. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, man. Just want to say I missed you guys. Watching in the wings. Big shouts out to everybody at Nemours down here in Jacksonville. Had a little service from a little man. Look up the Simmer Key Dad. I'm now an advocate for that because that's what my son had. So I'm all about it here in the household. But yeah, man, miss you guys. Glad to be back. Can't wait to finish out the year strong.
Amen to that. It'd be like I said, last Saturday night of fights. Enjoy them. Other than that, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. We'll be back right here, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern next Wednesday. We'll talk about this Tampa card, and we didn't really even get into the other news that's broken throughout the last few days. Me and Bobby talked a little bit about 311 the last week. So we will talk more about 311 and a couple other fights, next week as well. So be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. I'm going to hit that outro. We'll see you next week.
I love it. You guys are so...
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.